L'chaim to life. I want you to think for a moment about why you take a vitamin. You do it because you believe you are doing something good for your body. You are taking a proactive step towards health, towards vitality. But what if I told you that the very companies you trust are betraying that trust? What if the ingredients in that bottle, the one you conscientiously take every single day, are not just ineffective but are actively, dangerously harming you? Today, we are not talking about vitamins that don't work. We are talking about 10 specific ingredients that can be profoundly dangerous, and I am frankly astonished they are legally allowed to be sold. Why does this happen? The answer, as it so often is profit. The margins on these cheap synthetic chemicals are immense. And you must understand who owns these large vitamin companies. They are frequently subsidiaries of the very same giants of Big Pharma, the massive chemical corporations, and even the junk food industry that created many of the health problems in the first place. Their motive is not your vitality. It is the fattest possible profit margin. Let's begin with the first imposter, synthetic vitamin A. You must never, ever consume this. On a label, you will see it listed as retinol palmitate or retinol acetate. Think of natural vitamin A from food as a perfectly cut key, designed by nature to fit the locks on your cells. This synthetic version is a cheap, poorly made copy. Your body struggles to convert it into the active form, and the conversion is incredibly inefficient. So, what happens to the unconverted surplus? It doesn't just get flushed out. It builds up, accumulating in your liver and your fat cells, where it becomes toxic. For a pregnant woman, this toxicity can lead to the unimaginable tragedy of a birth defect. It also wages a silent war inside your body, interfering with your precious vitamin D and vitamin K2, which can increase your risk of bone loss and fractures, and the deception goes further. They put this same synthetic vitamin A into skin lotions. The problem is, when this chemical is exposed to ultraviolet radiation from the sun, its carcinogenic or cancer-causing effect is amplified. Instead of this poison, get your real vitamin A from whole foods, egg yolks from pasture-raised chickens, liver and cod liver oil. Your sinuses, your lungs, your immune system, they all depend on it. Next on our list is synthetic beta-carotene. Many people believe beta-carotene is vitamin A. It is not. It is a precursor, something your body must convert into vitamin A, but the synthetic version is an abomination. Do you know where it comes from? It's synthesized from coal tar petroleum. Let that sink in. They are putting a petroleum derivative in a pill and calling it a nutrient. When large studies were conducted on the synthetic version, researchers found something horrifying. It increased the risk of lung cancer in smokers by around 18%. Why? Because a smoker's lungs are already damaged, inflamed, and vulnerable. This synthetic chemical comes in and acts like an accelerant, flipping the switch that activates cancer. The beta-carotene found in a carrot is protective. The version made from petroleum is a potential trigger for disease. The deception continues with one of the most common B vitamins on the shelf, synthetic B12. The name they give it is cyanocobalamin. I want you to look closely at that name. Cyano. It's right there in the open. This form of B12 is bound to a cyanide molecule. Yes, you heard me correctly. Cyanide. While the amount is minuscule, you must ask yourself why you would willingly consume even a trace of a known poison when a perfectly safe, natural alternative exists. Here is the deeper problem. For your body to use this cheap synthetic, it must first detoxify it. It has to cleave off that cyanide molecule. The tool it uses for this job is one of your most precious resources, a molecule called glutathione, your body's master antioxidant. Every time you take cyanocobalamin, you force your body to use up its glutathione supply just to make the vitamin safe. If you are taking this regularly, as many people do in energy drinks and fortified foods, you are systematically depleting your primary defense against cellular damage and aging. For a smoker, who is already inhaling cyanide from cigarettes, this creates a toxic storm, overwhelming the body's detoxification pathways. The natural, bioavailable form is called methylcobalamin. It stays in your body longer and doesn't tax your antioxidant reserves. Better yet, get your B12 from nature's sources, like red meat or liver. Next, we come to calcium carbonate. Go into any pharmacy, pick up one of the most popular, heavily advertised calcium supplements, and look at the first ingredient. It will almost certainly be calcium carbonate. That is why the bottle is so heavy. You are literally holding a bottle of rocks. Calcium carbonate is ground-up limestone, and because it is the first ingredient, it likely makes up the majority of that tablet. The fact that this is sold as a health product is mind-blowing. Your body can barely absorb it. But the real danger isn't just its ineffectiveness. This unabsorbed rock dust has to go somewhere. It can get deposited in your soft tissues, building up in your arteries, contributing to cardiovascular disease, or forming painful stones in your kidneys. One large study showed it can actually increase the risk of heart attacks. Furthermore, in nature, calcium never appears alone. It works in a delicate dance with other minerals, especially magnesium. For optimal health, you need a 1-to-1 ratio of calcium to magnesium. Yet these cheap supplements are loaded with calcium and contain barely any magnesium, which actively creates a dangerous imbalance, leading to a magnesium deficiency. Don't swallow rocks. Get your calcium from dairy, cheese, yogurt, or leafy greens, where it exists in its proper balanced form. Finally, let's talk about iron, specifically the form added to supplements and fortified grains. Ferrous sulfate. Iron is essential, but it is also highly corrosive. Think of it like rust. Your body, particularly for men and postmenopausal women, has no effective mechanism to get rid of excess iron. So, when you take these supplements, this corrosive material builds up, creating massive oxidative stress. For the 1 in roughly 200 or 300 people with a condition called hemochromatosis, this is even more deadly. An excess of this cheap iron is linked to an increased risk of type 2 diabetes, catastrophic liver damage, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's disease. Stop taking supplements with iron unless you are clinically anemic and under a doctor's direct supervision. And even then, I would argue for getting it from food like liver or red meat, not from a pill filled with rust. Now, we must discuss magnesium. You have likely heard how vitally important this mineral is for your heart, your muscles, your nerves, and for a calm mind. But I can tell you with absolute certainty that the form of magnesium you take is everything. And the most common, cheapest form sold in stores is magnesium oxide. Taking magnesium oxide to correct a deficiency is like trying to fill a swimming pool with a leaky thimble. It is an exercise in futility. The absorption rate of this form is a paltry 3%. Let's do the math. If you take a pill that contains 500 milligrams of magnesium oxide, your body is only able to absorb and use about 20 milligrams of it. That is an insignificant amount. So what do people do? They take more, thinking it will help. But as soon as you increase the dose, you trigger the inevitable side effect: diarrhea. Magnesium oxide is an osmotic laxative, meaning it pulls large amounts of water into your colon. This doesn't just cause digestive distress, it causes you to flush out the very electrolytes you need, making the underlying problem even worse. It is a cruel joke of a supplement. You get almost no absorption, and when you try to get more, it robs your body of other vital minerals. The form you should be looking for is magnesium glycinate. Its absorption is around 80 to 85%. It will not cause diarrhea, and it will deliver the incredible benefits you are seeking: deeper sleep, lower levels of the stress hormone cortisol, fewer muscle spasms, and more cellular energy. Let's move to perhaps the single most important vitamin for overall health, and one that most people are deficient in: vitamin D. But once again, the form is critical. The synthetic version is called ergocalciferol, or vitamin D2. The way this is manufactured should be your first warning sign. They produce it by taking fungus or yeast and blasting it with ultraviolet radiation. This is not the same vitamin D your body makes from sunlight. It is not as potent, and the conversion into the active hormone form of vitamin D in your body is far less efficient than the natural form, which is called cholecalciferol, or D3. Think of it this way. Your body uses a special carrier, called a vitamin D binding protein, to transport vitamin D to the liver and kidneys where it gets activated. It's like a specialized delivery truck. Natural D3 binds to this truck securely, ensuring it gets to its destination. The synthetic D2, however, has a weak, flimsy connection to this truck. Much of it falls off along the way and never completes its journey. You simply do not get the same powerful effect. And here is the most frustrating part. D2, this inferior, less effective form, is the one most commonly given as a prescription by doctors. Why? Most likely because you cannot patent D3. It is a natural substance. So a patentable, synthetic version was created for profit. Do not accept it. A deficiency in vitamin D compromises your immune system, leads to bone pain, and is a major contributor to depression. Insist on the real thing, vitamin D3. We are nearing the end of our list, and these final two are insidious. Number 9 is any supplement that adds omega-6 fatty acids, often in the form of linoleic acid. I've even seen this added to pet food, which is appalling. We are living in an age of rampant systemic inflammation, and our overconsumption of omega-6 fats is a primary driver of that fire. In a state of natural health, your body needs a balance, a roughly 1-to-1 ratio of omega-6 fats to omega-3 fats. Think of it like a seesaw. Omega-3 is anti-inflammatory, calming your system. Omega-6, especially from processed seed oils, is pro-inflammatory. It fuels the fire. That seesaw should be level, but the average person in the United States is consuming 25 times more inflammatory omega-6 than anti-inflammatory omega-3. 25-to-1. The seesaw isn't just tilted, it is violently slammed to the ground on the side of inflammation. An astounding 25 to 30% of all calories in the modern diet come from these highly inflammatory seed oils. The last thing any of us needs is more omega-6 added to our supplements. It is metabolic poison. You must actively avoid these oils and instead focus on getting your healthy omega fats from fatty fish, cod liver oil, and grass-fed meat. Finally, we arrive at number 10, copper. Yes, copper is an essential trace mineral, but taken in the cheap, isolated forms found in multivitamins and in the wrong ratio, it can be profoundly toxic. Copper does not work in a vacuum. Its most important partner is zinc, and the balance is paramount. We need approximately 10 times as much zinc as we do copper. When you take a high dose of copper without enough zinc, you create a cascade of problems. Too much of this unbound copper can flip a switch in your body, turning from an antioxidant cofactor into a prooxidant, creating the very free radical damage you're trying to prevent. This excess copper accumulates in your body, particularly in your brain and your liver. And modern research is revealing a terrifying link between this copper toxicity and Alzheimer's disease. Scientists are now calling copper the new aluminum because of its role in promoting inflammation in the brain and contributing to the formation of destructive amyloid plaques. You do not want unbound, cheap copper building up in your brain tissue. Get your trace minerals from food, where nature provides them in perfect balance. Shellfish, liver, and even dark chocolate are wonderful sources. So, we have journeyed through the dark side of the supplement industry, from petroleum derivatives and cyanide to rocks, rust, and inflammatory fats. The lesson is not to fear vitamins, but to respect the profound wisdom of nature. True health, true vitality, cannot be manufactured in a lab by the same industries that profit from sickness. It is grown in healthy soil, raised on green pastures, and caught in clean waters. Become a detective. Read your labels. Question everything. Reject these cheap counterfeits and return to the source. Your life depends on it. L'chaim, to life.